Here are the 5 seventh chords you should be able to aurally recognize. Let's go through each one. Here is major, major 7th. Notice it's very bright. It's very happy. But notice it also is dissonant. So it's kind of contradictory in that sense, in that it's a major triad and it has a lot of bright quality to it, but it sounds very dissonant. You might say that there are two types of people. People who hear this as a nice, bright, quality 7th chord, but people who may only hear the major 7th and it wanting to resolve to an octave. So if you hear that wanting to resolve to an octave, you may not hear this actually as a bright, happy chord, but as something dissonant that needs to resolve. Let's move on. Major, minor, and let's do it on a different note and a different key so you can hear, so we can differentiate better. Here it is. This 7th chord is what we call functional. It's because there's only one place we see this in our diatonic harmony, and that is our 5 7th chord. We should hear this chord as wanting to resolve to this. Remember, this sonority is so functional that we now have secondary dominance in your music theory class, in which we have a dominant harmony that is not a part of the major or minor key signature, but we still hear it as a 5/7 of one of our chords in that major or minor key. Notice especially the difference between major, major, and major, minor. This major 7th wanted to go up. This minor 7th wants to go down. Let's move on to our next one, minor, minor. Here it is. We can also use our functional harmony to identify this. This is found most often as 2/7, possibly 6/7. This will actually be somewhat of a difficult harmony to recognize because this one is clearly dissonant with major 7th. This one is clearly functional, so it has some need to resolve. Likewise, this one doesn't really have either. You can hear it as 2/7 or 6/7 wanting to go to 5/7, like wanting to go to 1. That's 2 steps removed from a resolution. This one just kind of sounds, dare I say, dull. Kind of just sits there, where the other ones have more clear functional or needed resolutions that you should be able to hear. So hopefully you might be able to use a process of selection to be able to eliminate everything else and be able to arrive at minor minor seventh. Let's keep going. Half diminished. Here it is. Notice there is a tritone. We now have a diminished fifth. We did have one earlier, and that's in the major minor seventh chord, but that's between the third and the seventh. Here, it's between the root and the fifth. So we have our first diminished fifth. Likely places you see it within our diatonic harmony is in minor, the half diminished 2/7. And let's differentiate between the half diminished 7 and the fully diminished 7. Here's the fully diminished 7. Notice the fully diminished seventh chord has 2 tritones. The fully diminished 7 is also what we call symmetrical, meaning that this is a minor third, that's a minor third, this is a minor third, and if you do the enharmonic note of A to that beat of a flat, A to a C is another minor third. So again, the fully diminished seventh chord is actually what we call symmetrical. The half diminished 7 is not, so that might be another way of differentiating between these two, which are commonly mistaken for the other. But those are the 5 seventh chords you need to be familiar with. There are plenty of exercises below. Please try those.